Jam with Sam. Jam with Sam.
Now to introduce someone who has revolutionized the way India networks. He's a man on mission with his team of directors in India, taking business networking not only to Mumbai but to every corner in India. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Niiraj Shah, the National Director, BNI India. Welcome Niiraj to Jam with Sam.
Thank you, Sam. So, I've got my guitar.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
He's going to be jamming with Sam, you know. Good evening, Niiraj. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
We'll go straight.
Thanks for having me.
Most welcome, Niiraj. Like I told Niiraj, I want to have you here. Will you come this month or next month? He says, I'm going to be here this month because next month I'm traveling. So we have Niiraj over here finally.
Yeah, you use the classic clothes.
Classic clothes.
Yeah.
Okay, Niiraj, let's hear something about your family.
Well, I'm married to my wife Twinkle. She's there, and we're just expecting our first little one in October. So we're very thrilled about that. So looking to expand the family.
Okay. And your parents and?
Our parents are settled in Kenya.
Okay.
My grandparents moved to Kenya. So, typical Gujarati business family. So we've been in, the commodities and plastics packaging businesses.
Okay.
And then my parents moved to the UK.
Okay.
I moved with them. Thankfully, they took me.
Okay.
Because they did have the option of just leaving me,
you.
yeah. And and then I had the opportunity to come out here. So, I kind of completed the triangle.
Triangle over there.
Yeah.
Niiraj, tell us something. How do you keep up with your health, being such a busy person?
I've been very interested in health. I went to an amazing seminar by Anthony Robbins called Life Mastery. And it's a 10-day program where they look at everything from your health, business, wealth, everything that you could possibly think of. And they spend at least 2 days, the 10 days just on health.
Okay.
So diet, exercise, etc. Of course, I have a great trainer here who makes sure that I do all my training. I have to keep on BBMing him whatever I'm eating.
No,
but it's something that I've been just good at, and it helps that I have a high metabolism.
Yeah, that's why you always trim and slim.
Yes, yes.
Okay, Niiraj, tell us something about the business, BNI. Tell us something about what it is about.
BNI really, I think, really changes people's lives. It's not only there in the way that people initially see it, where they see it as maybe something that's going to help them grow their business. Referrals for any business owner is very important for growing their business. A lot of businesses, maybe 50-60% and above comes through referrals. So referrals are very important to people, yet the same people, when you go and ask them, do you have a system? They look at you blankly and say that, is it possible to have a system? And this is where BNI comes into the picture. To make all of this work, we have a great training and support system. And what the training and support really does, it gets people into good habits. Good habits that you would have in your life to be successful, whether it be personally or professionally. So just taking part in the weekly meetings, there's certain habits that kind of creep in, which are very positive. Which initially people will say, I never used to be able to get up early and etc. But these are the same people who somehow managed through that, and then they find incrementally that their life is changing in so many ways. I think one of the most touching examples was one day we were at a social, and family members and members were there as well. And this one spouse took me to the side, and she said, I've just really got to thank you, because my husband never used to talk to me, before he joined BNI, and now the guy is just completely different. I mean, he has time for the family, he talks to the kids, he wants to know, what's happening. So, this gave him a very safe, supportive environment where he felt nurtured and cared for, and he could open up. And by him gaining confidence in a business setting, look at the impact it's had on a personal level. So, I mean, we're not here to be marriage counselors or anything like that, but I believe that a lot of the good things that happen in terms of the personal development actually end up helping, members and their family.
How does BNI market or spread your ideas across for new customers or new members?
We are the world's largest word-of-mouth marketing organization. So we essentially only use word of mouth. We're experts in that. So that's what we teach, that's what we do. And that's how we grow. So we don't advertise at all.
Okay.
And initially it begins with just having one good person. When I moved here, I knew just one person who'd supplied us packaging machinery for one of our rice mills. And that's the only person that I knew.
Okay.
But you only need to know one good person. They introduced me to other good people. And through the BNI system, we just added value to them. And as a result, they gained out of it and they started to tell their friends.
Okay.
So, it's one of those things. I think networking is a long-term thing. When we came here, we were looking at a 10-year game plan.
Okay.
So I was never looking at, what happened in the first year, second year. Even our principals by the third year were tired of me and threatened to, terminate the franchise. So that was interesting. And I don't think they had any idea that I'd moved from the UK to start this from scratch to India. They just thought, okay, he looks Indian, he must be Indian, he's coming from India, so that was really interesting. So we've just focused really on adding value, and for us it's quite measurable. We're able to tell how much business are people doing, how much business is a chapter doing, and we're able to get those figures, and so we're just concentrating on helping people be more effective. And the trainings and the feedback that we get from there, we take continuous feedback. So I think one of the key things is you've got to have a feedback mechanism. And Ashwin was talking about it earlier. For 1.5 years, why has he put his phone number there accessible? Because he's getting direct feedback from his target market. So it becomes a lot easier then, to do other things. And you're able to tailor your product, your service in that way. So a lot of innovations that we've done here in India, we've done with Indian entrepreneurs in mind. And I believe that with economic center of gravity moving eastwards, things that we're doing here are actually going to spread in other countries. And currently, like next month, we have directors coming from Asia, Middle East, and Africa to learn what are we doing here that's helping our members get such results. I believe the kind of quality of members that we have here, there's no other BNI country that has this quality of member.
So that's great. People are coming from there to teach us. Now we are teaching them over there.
Yes. But at the same time, we learn vicariously from all of these people. They made so many mistakes, which thankfully we didn't make. We made new ones, and we found new solutions. So, sometimes just knowing one or two things to do something a little bit better produces exponential results.
I think now you're opening, how many chapters do you have in India?
We currently have 56 chapters. We operate across 8 cities.
Okay.
And we work with close to 2,000 members. We expect to be about 3,000 members by the end of this year.
Which are the cities BNI is in?
We're currently in Mumbai, Bangalore, Pune, Hyderabad, Chennai, Mysore, Panjim in Goa, Gurgaon. You know, so those are the key cities that we're currently in.
So you're working on other cities also?
Absolutely. We've got inquiries. I think for some reason, south of India has really taken off. So we're getting a lot more inquiries from the south. Plus also, those were the first places that we got established. So, our franchisees from, Bangalore are the ones who are now driving that and referring us to people. So in fact, Hyderabad, our newest city, got started in 3 weeks.
Wow.
And they're currently at 54 members.
Yeah, I saw the launch.
So, and that person was referred through a member in Bangalore. So, so that's how, we're going to also grow the business. It's going to be through word of mouth. I think we get our best business through word of mouth.
How do you generally market your business through social media, using social media? You're an avid social media.
Yes, of course. I mean, you helped me tremendously with that, and we work, pretty much as a team. But I believe that the kind of content that we develop, we're essentially a training and education company. So it lends itself very easily to social media, because social media is about creating a lot of value out there, and I think the right content in the right context can really help your potential target audience. So we've just focused on that. There are so many books we've written on the topic, and experiences that I would have dealing with members. You just look at how can you spin that into a story with at least 2 or 3 points.
Okay.
There are takeaways. If you think, if someone new were to read that and they'd think, yeah, that was useful, I learned something new. So take, for example, one of the things that I did was I kept on getting asked, how do you remember people's names? Because I used to be terrible at remembering people's names. I'd remember the face because I'm very visual, but I couldn't remember names. So I said, I've got to really work on this. So I came up with my own techniques of improving that. And as I went along, I was able to remember. And then people started asking me, how do you remember? So I had to kind of break it down. And I said, instead of repeating this whole thing like a broken record, why don't I just got a new Mac at that time. So I said, okay, why don't we record a little video on that? And I remember taking a little video in my office. I'm sitting there in the corner, put it on and, talked about 3 specific points on how to remember names, and then edited on the Mac and uploaded it on YouTube. Now, obviously, when I look at it now, I think it's so terribly produced. However, the amount of shares and views it got, was amazing. So, and that was one of my first pieces of content that I got out there. So, I would say that, frequently asked questions are a great way actually to generate content, because that's what your target market is looking for.
Absolutely.
So if you could put together some way in which you're able to present that in an interesting and valuable way, then you already have a lot of content.
Correct.
The second thing is that we find that events are a great place.
Yes.
So, when you have a lot of events, you have a lot of people meeting there, then you're able to tag people, those show up on their profiles. People end up asking, we ask people to share, what did you like best about the training? Share it on, your Facebook or things like that. So we're pretty quick after an event to post up, even if it may just be 1 or 2 key photos. Like the other day we ran the social media workshop, and I tagged a few people there, and already we've had 100 likes and loads of comments.
Correct.
So it will have shown up and it's gone viral. There was something today I put up on turning me into a weed.
I saw that.
That's completely gone viral now. So it always look to think of, what do you find of value when you're out there? You think, this was really useful for me. I wonder if this will also be useful to others. So, that's the strategy we've been using. And we've never been trying to specifically, mention BNI. It just gets, mentioned very subtly. And, more the focus is on the right educational content. And that's really helped us, get a lot of following. I think there have been times when, people who are your contacts keep asking you, what's BNI? And you end up getting a lot of visitors. Yeah.
Okay, Niiraj, what's your take on women business leaders and men in today's network? What has changed and why?
Well, we did a survey of 12,000 business owners across, the 5 continents we currently work, in. So we did a extensive survey, and we're finding some incredible things. In fact, if you read a book called Networking and Sex, Not What You Think, that actually covers that. And that's really a book on gender and really how men and women are very different in the ways in which they network. So one of the key things we found was that women are relationship based. So they focus more on relationships. Whereas men are more transactional. So men may come to a networking event like this and try and score a deal. It's like, okay, who's the guy I can end up selling, a product or a service to? Whereas women would look to actually find out more about the person, understand how they could possibly be of help, and not immediately make it transactional. The other thing is that there's a big shift in terms of, if you look at women across the world, women are better educated than men in terms of higher education. They're now going way ahead of men. If you look at key purchases, whether it be both online or offline, they are controlling domestic expenditure.
Let's hear it from the women. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely, it's true. Major purchases, and even you'll be amazed, electronic, up to 45% of all home electronics are decided by women. And for other items, it's much higher. So they're playing a huge role in terms of decision making as far as where the family decides to spend. The other research that we found is that of late, because of the way the global economy is, it's slowed down. What it's meant is that a lot of people who were working have lost their jobs, and as a result have had to start businesses to survive. And this is one of the best times, to do that. Microsoft and companies like that all started in a recession. So, this is a great time to do that. And what they're finding is the research shows that women, own new businesses have more likelihood of succeeding than the ones started by men. So, if you're out there and you're wondering, how does this apply, to me? First, I think, you've got to look at getting more women in the workforce, more women working for you. And we're finding that they have a higher EQ and are able to handle people just that much better. We find that, a lot of the leaders now, if you look at the new leaders out there, if you look at the, CEO of Axis Bank, she's a woman. Look at the CEO of ICICI Bank, Pepsi, so now there's so many more Indian women. And Indian women on a global scale. If you look at Mrs. Piramal, today she's just, been chosen on the board of Harvard Business, not Harvard Business School, but Harvard University on the medical side. So, I think women are just making their presence felt. So you've got to look at, what are you doing specifically to market to get more women customers? And women customers will look at your product and service in a completely different way to men. So we specifically are looking at that, and what we're finding is that they prefer more educational content.
Okay.
Because that's the kind of thing that they would like to learn, whereas a lot of men would already know some of the things. So they like the safe environment where they're able to learn about all of these things. So they're finding that we're getting now a lot of new BNI members that are women, and in new groups, there's a new group that we're starting. About 50% of that particular chapter is going to be women. So we feel that they will end up adding a lot more value. The research shows they give twice more referrals than men. So it'd be really interesting to do a survey on that to find out, based on gender, how many more referrals do they give here in the Indian context. And we're doing our own survey right now. I'm just gathering all the results of that. So it'd be really interesting to see, what's the value of referrals, number of referrals, and also the value of referrals that they've helped to generate. And I would suspect that if we do it according to gender, we'll probably find that, again, women, per referral value will be higher. So we're specifically looking at getting more women involved, both in leadership within our own company and as customers.
Okay. So Niiraj, you're pretty busy, you keep traveling. How do you relax during stressful times? And
three things. One, exercise. That's a great stress buster. Number two, cooking.
Yeah.
I love cooking, so for me that's a great way to just de-stress and open a bottle of wine.
What's your favorite dish you make?
My favorite dish actually is chicken wings, but I'm not allowed to cook that at home. So that's there. But I end up cooking everything from Thai to Italian to Indian. And lastly, playing music, whether it's listening to it or playing on the guitar. Yeah. So I find that really good.
How do you balance between work, family, and your other passions?
I think initially I used to struggle with that. And one of my mentors and someone that I really look up to, Dr. Ivan Meisner, because if I think my schedule is crazy, his schedule is even more crazier. So when I was talking to him, how do you juggle with all of these things? And how do you balance? And he said, Niiraj, you're really asking the wrong question. You're never going to get balance. And especially if you're an entrepreneur, because there'll always be things going on and you'll never have balance. But he said, try and find harmony rather than balance. And then you'll find that actually life is a lot easier. And so, in terms of that, obviously, communicating, with the family helps. That Twinkle also works, with me, and we're equally passionate, about, BNI. So, that's something really good. But so I'm not trying to now get balance. More, I'm looking at what are the things that I really enjoy. And I'm trying to just only do those.
Okay.
And I'm trying to delegate the things that I don't like to do, and not just dump it on someone, but try and figure out who in the organization would actually love doing that. That's their strength. So we're really, looking at being very strengths focused, so that we all are doing stuff that we love to do.
Absolutely.
And then it's very easy for us to do that, and it doesn't feel like work. And then your vocation becomes your vacation.
Yes. That's a nice one. Vocation becomes your vacation. I like that. Niiraj, if not this, what would you have been?
Again, a little bit like Ashwin, I would have been roped into the family businesses. In fact, they did try. They kind of kept me in for about 9 years.
Okay.
After which I said, like Ashwin, I hated it. So I said, this is the time I need to make my own move and do this. And so I think I've always looked at something that I could do that, involved learning, training, and helping others. And I saw BNI as something that combined all of those things and gave us a very scalable model. Because it wasn't just about helping one or two people, but it was really building a huge network where it's not just dependent upon me, but it's about activating each member of that network so that they also help each other.
Absolutely.
So it wasn't just based on me. So, I don't think I would be doing anything different from BNI, or I'd be coming up with my own version of something called BNI if BNI didn't exist.
Niiraj, one of the happiest moments in your life, which would?
I think there are many out there. I would say that one of the most powerful moments where I can look back and I can tell you exactly the date, the time, and what exactly I was doing. It was on the Tony Robbins seminar.
Okay.
I was in Hawaii on the 15th of September, at 6 p.m. 2001. Okay. Now just remember, we're in September 2001. What happened in September 2001? On the 11th, 9/11. Okay. So, we're there. When this has happened, I'm in the US. There are 500 people out of the 2,000 from New York. The people who lost, families and friends and colleagues, and there was one division that was here at the seminar, and the rest of the company was wiped out. And we kind of saw that day completely, where Tony just changed the meaning of that. And one of the things that he got us to do was, he believes strongly in metaphors. And I'll just give you an idea of the metaphor that, he came up with. And it's linked with something physical that you think you can't do. So he helps you expand, your possibility on what you think you can do. So this one, exercise he had you do, where, you had a 50-foot telephone pole. Okay?
50 foot?
50 foot. Okay? And what he got you to do was, he got you to write down your identity, and particularly things you didn't like about your identity or you thought were holding you back. And you wrote all of those down, you made a list. And then on a separate list, he got you to write down, okay, if you didn't have all this junk there, then, what would be your new identity? What would you like to install? Okay. So we had these two lists, and we thought, okay, that's the end of the exercise. No. Okay, you see this 50-foot pole, okay? You've got to climb on top of it, okay? And not just get to the top, but you've got to get right to the top and balance on the top. And 8 feet in front of you, there's going to be a trapeze suspended in midair. Okay? And we've got the ocean out there, and, the thing is swaying, so you get harnessed up, okay, and you sign the waiver, and in it says, okay, by the way, if you fall, at this height, then the harness won't work, and you will fall and you'll probably break your legs. So I said, okay, that's nice. Then, okay, you have these little things where, you're holding, just the way the guys would climb on top of these poles for electricity poles, okay? So I'm climbing that. And every step I take, there's one little piece of what I didn't like, I tear up and throw away.
Okay.
And then finally, I get to the top, and, I've completely torn up all the things I didn't like, and I've thrown that away. And so now finally you have to, you have nothing to hold on. You have to put one foot on the pole, you have to balance, and then you have to kind of shift your weight onto that, and then you have to slowly bring up the other leg, and then you're finally standing. Okay? And then the most powerful thing happens. Because on that trapeze is your new identity, and you are just shouting out, on top of your lungs, screaming, and you have your whole team below cheering you, and and then finally, after you finish screaming all the things, like an incantation about all the things, like I am, and then you just take the leap of faith, and you catch a new identity. And that, for me, when I caught it, was the most incredible, feeling that I've ever been to. And I reckon I'm here because of what happened that particular that day kind of changed the course of my life completely. And I think it put me back on what I should have been doing. And, it was like a reset and, turbocharge.
Turbocharge.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And that's why it was really easy for me to just come out here and stop everything and,
do that over
do that. So.
Great. Okay, Niiraj, last question is, what advice would you have to entrepreneurs out over here? We have a lot of entrepreneurs out over here. Some words of advice.
I think I would give this same advice, whether it be to a new person or a seasoned person. I think first thing, do what you love. Don't do anything for the money.
Absolutely.
First, do what you love. Then find a way in which you can be the best at that. It might be best within Mumbai, or it might be, you've got, best in India or best in Asia, or, while you're at it, why not think of being the best in the world? As Donald Trump says, if you're thinking, why not think big?
Think big.
What's the harm? So, for me, that was very clear. So, I reckon I could be the best at BNI in the world. So, what I'm doing in BNI, I think I would do if I wasn't being paid, because I was already doing that in my life earlier. The second thing was then to find a way in which to be the best at it and to really study and learn. And one thing Tony Robbins teaches is the principle of CANI, constant and never-ending improvement. So whatever you're doing, always look to make it better. You can always make it better. And there's always people that you can learn from. You are never the expert. There are a lot of other people that will teach you. And there may be people who are brand new at that will come up with a completely new way of doing it, a better way of doing it, because they haven't got the baggage of the past. And then finally, once you found those two, the last thing is then you need to find, can you monetize it? So, it's like this triangle, would I love doing this, and, could I do this even if I was not paid? Secondly, could I be the best in the world or the best in whatever you decide, at level you decide to play at? And then lastly, can I monetize it? And I think again, as I mentioned earlier, if you've got all these three in place, you're going to be very passionate about what you do. You're going to be very successful at what you do, and you will certainly make your vocation your vacation. So that's my specific advice for any entrepreneur out there.
Fantastic. And by the way, I have a mentor. I have one mentor. That's Niiraj. Niiraj is my mentor since the last 7 years, since I've been a BNI member. I always go back to him. He's one of the person who convinced me to switch my field of work. I think I'm one of the first guys in BNI to switch. I was into computer hardware. I went to him, Niiraj, I want to get into social media. He says, do it from tomorrow. Don't think next 2 months, 3 months, do it tomorrow. And I did it, and it completely changed my life over there. So I owe it to Niiraj, who's one of my mentors over here, and I'm so happy to have him on my show over here.
Thank you so much.
Jam with Sam.
Of course.